Hi, Miguel. What's your name?
Okay, one more time. Ask me one more time. Don't use that voice. Hey, my name is Miguel. I'm a designer, a technologist, and an educator. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I work at an agency named Hetty, which is also based out of Brooklyn. And what we do is we service other clients. So we build mobile products for them, web products for them, as well as other technology.
Talk through your typical day as a design manager. What does your day look like?
Awesome. So as director of design here at Hetty, I manage a team of super talented, about 10 designers, multidisciplinary designers, product designers, user experience designers. And yeah, this is the office. This is our beautiful view, as you can see. And we're an agency, so we work with clients. So my day is made up of checking in with our clients, making sure we're meeting their needs, managing my team, making sure they have everything they need and are set up for success, and also working with the leadership team to make sure the design department is running smoothly and we're growing as we should be.
Awesome. Have you got any tips for aspiring UX or UI designers living in the city that never sleeps?
So I have 3 pieces of advice. The first is to find your people, find your squad, find your group. This is a big city and it is easy to get lost in the excitement of the city. So finding your core friend group, your core support system that will hold you accountable and help you navigate this big city, I think it's really important. Second, put yourself out there. There are so many opportunities to meet people that may lead to your next opportunity. So definitely put yourself out there. Take your core friend group and take them out to tech events, design events, and also networking events, because again, you never know who you meet might lead to what opportunity. And third, be intentional about your job hunt. I noticed that a lot of people go into this space trying to get the same one role and at the same 10 companies, and design is so much bigger than one position at 10 companies. There are so many diverse opportunities out there, and at this point, there is really no such thing as a tech industry because tech is everywhere. Any company, any mission, any problem you could think of solving, there are UX designers who are solving those problems. There are software engineers who are helping to build that idea. So think about what you want to do specifically. Think about what you're personally passionate about, what you want your personal mission to be, and then you can literally reverse engineer your ideal career in tech and UX and design in general.
Do you find the design community is a supportive community?
So I've supported many people transitioning from other career paths, and I keep getting the same feedback, which is design is especially tight-knit, it's especially supportive. I mean, there's so many people nowadays putting out their own content. There's so many institutions putting out amazing content, inviting people in, supporting people like CareerFoundry is doing. So yeah, I don't know why our field is as supportive as it is, and I'm not complaining, it's awesome. But I think that people who come into this space will find a lot of solace in the fact that you may be coming up on your own, but you won't be coming up alone.
Fantastic, great answer. What does a mentor at CareerFoundry do?
Okay, so every single student at CareerFoundry gets paired with a mentor, and if I'm not mistaken, in their time zone, so that it makes connecting a lot easier. And so what this mentor does for students is supports students, is there to answer any questions, and provides feedback on their work to ensure that the student is progressing smoothly and growing as they should. Now, students have a tutor and a mentor as well. So the tutor offers day-to-day support and approves work on a day-to-day basis. And then students also have, in addition to that support system, the opportunities to meet with mentors to, again, offer that guidance in a more personalized way.
Fantastic. And what do you think the importance is of having a mentor at your side?
So when I came up in tech and design, I didn't have a mentor. And now that I am a mentor, I can see the difference and the contrast Had I had a mentor, I would have been able to get more real world advice and feedback. I think a lot of what I was doing was guessing. And I think a lot of what a mentor does is helps you take the guessing out of your come up and out of your journey. The second thing that a mentor does is give you honest feedback. So in my case, I'm a director of design. I manage a team. So I'm giving my mentees, my students, feedback in a way that I would give feedback to someone on my team. So it's real world feedback, it's actionable feedback, and it's feedback that is ultimately going to help you get a job. And the third thing that I think a mentor does for you is just holds you accountable and keeps you going. When you're coming up on your own, and by the way, it's totally possible to come up on your own without a mentor, without a program. But what a program like CareerFoundry does and what a mentor like myself does is it provides that extra support system, helps you answer questions earlier, and potentially helps you navigate the whole journey a lot more quickly.
What are some specific examples of things which you help a student with whilst they're studying on the program?
Two things come to mind. The first is with regard to the material itself and the curriculum itself. What I do for students is I help answer their questions on the assignments that they're working on, or I help them complete their work by giving them feedback, as I mentioned before. The other thing that I do is I help them with their case studies. So when they're putting together these projects and when they are finalizing their deliverables, I help them put it together in a way that it tells a cohesive story and is able to be put on a portfolio. And lastly, I do help them with the portfolio itself. But the second thing that I wanted to say is, yes, of course, I support students with anything having to do with the program. But where I think the benefits of a program like CareerFoundry is that it's so flexible that I'm able to extend that curriculum and give students more bang for their buck. So CareerFoundry doesn't tie a mentorship session with a task or an assignment or an achievement. Students can come to me and ask me about anything. You read an article about something out there and you're confused or have a question about it, you can schedule a call. If you want to practice the way that you present your work, if you want to do mock interviews, I'm able to connect with my students to support them for any one of those things, regardless of if it's in the curriculum or not.
Awesome, fantastic. The calls very informal, or how long do they last? Are they constructive?
So students are able to find time on your calendar. They don't need to ask you for permission or give you a heads up. They can find whatever availability you provided on your calendar. It's very approachable and accessible in that way. It's not like you have to ask your mentor for permission and there's that extra layer of intimidation or that extra barrier to entry. You can just book a meeting and then you either have something in mind you want to discuss, or your mentor has something in mind you want to discuss, or you can just go in there and talk about whatever comes to mind at that moment. Usually the sessions are an hour per session, but what I have found, especially at CareerFoundry and the mentorship relationship that I have with my mentees, is the best relationships are the ones where the mentee is meeting with the mentor frequently. Maybe it's once a week, maybe it's once every other week, maybe it's once a month or a couple of times a month. I think that frequency helps a student and also supercharges that student's journey.
Fantastic answer, really great answer. And do you tailor your approach depending on who the student is?
I can't imagine not tailoring my approach to the student. I can't imagine giving the same advice to one student and then giving that same advice to the second. What I do with every one of my mentees is I get to know who they are. I get to know about their background, what skills they're coming into the program with, but also what their goals are and what they're trying to accomplish and what their passions are, because as I've said, you can literally reverse engineer your ideal career in tech. And so I think a lot of people aren't able to think of how they can literally take something that they're personally passionate about, like music or plants, and make that a career in tech. You don't have to just have one position at the same 10 companies. And so what I do is I listen to my students, understand where they want to go, and then I just provide the plan to help them get there.
How do you help a CareerFoundry student identify their strengths and their weaknesses?
I think part of the value that mentors bring is that real world perspective. So being that I'm a director of design, being that I'm an educator, I'm able to bring relevant tools of evaluation to my students. So when I'm looking at their work, I'm evaluating them in the same way I would evaluate a designer on my team. So I'm able to see real world strengths and real world opportunities for growth. The other great thing about CareerFoundry is mentors have access to the students' progress, to their assignments, to their achievements. So in every mentorship session, I'm able to have the latest and greatest accomplishments from my students and able to bring that evaluation or bring my assessment of their progress into my mentorship sessions, and I'm able to guide them accordingly. I would also say that the flexibility of the program and how students can connect so intimately with their mentors creates an environment where mentors really get to know their students and therefore can further evaluate their strengths and weaknesses in a way that perhaps an instructor or a teacher at the top of the class can't do with 30 students in their class. And I know that because I've also done that. So this is quite special here.
And there are lots of people out there who think that they can go it alone. In your opinion, what do you think would be the problems if you were to go down that self-taught route without mentorship?
You can go at it alone. You can absolutely go at it alone. You can not go to a program. You cannot have a mentor. You could not join a community and perhaps get a job in tech. However, it will be much harder. It will perhaps take longer and perhaps be more costly because it took longer. I think that's the irony in people assessing the financial investment of a program or their personalized journey. The value of going at it with community and with a support system and with accountability is that you are able to answer questions that you will have at some point sooner, that you're able to do it in a more strategic and methodical way, and that you're able to do it with support so you're able to accomplish your goals a lot quicker.
Fantastic. And for you, how important do you think soft skills are in the design industry?
Okay, so it's really easy to put all of your focus on the technical skills, on the hard skills. If you're coming up in tech, if you're coming up in design specifically, you may think of, oh, I have to learn Figma. But Figma is just a tool. I'm a big fan of Figma. That's my favorite design tool. But it's just a tool, right? So your day-to-day is not all day on Figma. It's a lot of meetings and a lot of collaborating with team members and sharing in front of stakeholders. So soft skills are super important, and in many instances in your day-to-day, more important than hard skills. The other thing that I would say is in many situations, your hard skills don't matter if your soft skills aren't able to articulate your technical skills and your hard skills.
And how do you help students develop these soft skills as a mentor?
Again, the value of having a mentor is that they are providing personalized support to you. So I am super up to date at every step of the way with the skills, both hard and soft, that my students need to develop or that they're making great progress in. As it pertains to soft skills specifically, what I love about the mentorship sessions that I have with my students is we're able to answer their questions in the first half of the session. And then the second half of the session, I'm able to say, okay, let's do a little bit of interview prep. Let's do a little bit of mock interviewing. Let's do a little bit of practicing your storytelling. And we can, again, personalize the sessions in that way and develop their soft skills by doing it over and over again.
So how do you help a CareerFoundry student develop a compelling portfolio of work?
Okay, so you can complete the tasks, you can complete the assignments from the program, you can complete the achievements in the program. However, that in itself, just producing a deliverable, won't translate to an amazing portfolio. The delta is storytelling. So because I am able to connect one-on-one with my students, I am able to help them develop their storytelling skills so that they can translate their amazing work, their amazing designs into a narrative that will connect with those who are hiring, with hiring managers. So we work on the story, of course, assuming the work in itself is strong. And then we work on putting it together, putting that story together in a visual way through case studies that will go on the portfolio. This is another example of one of those things that is so much easier or approachable or achievable with a mentor. When I was doing this on my own, I had no idea what storytelling meant. I thought it was just, oh, I'm talking about the work itself and how great these designs are, right? But there's so much more that goes into it, and so much more that is attractive to hiring managers, and that's the value that I bring to my students.
Why is this portfolio so important when you're applying for jobs?
I'm not even going to answer this question from the perspective of a mentor. I'm going to answer this question from the perspective of a hiring manager because I am one. Another great value add to having a mentor, your mentor is most likely going to be a leader in the design space. So in my case, I hire every single week. So I know exactly what hiring managers and recruiters are looking for. I'm not saying that a resume is not important. I'm not saying that a cover letter is not important. But at the end of the day, if your portfolio is not attracting recruiters or is not impressing the designers and the design team you're applying to be a part of, then you're not going to get that interview call. At the end of the day, what we do is visual, so you need to be able to articulate your strengths and your skills in this visual format, and that's why the portfolio is so important.
Awesome. Can you maybe highlight 2 or 3 career change stories or graduates that are really stuck in your mind as fantastic examples of career change?
Okay, I'll give you 3 examples. The first is I had an individual who had a career for a very long time. And I remember in our first mentorship call, they asked me, Miguel, I don't have a background in tech. I've had this career in this completely different field, and I don't know, or I don't see how any of this translates over. And what we then did was we talked about what they did in their career and all of the skills that they use. And what we realized is that there are so many translatable, transferable things from other careers into design. Why? Because UX design is so multidisciplinary. It's so multidisciplinary that chances are you will have done a part of UX in a different career. So if you were a teacher, you had users, they were your students. If you were a teacher, you've done iteration. Every single time you've developed your lesson over and over again, right? Your students gave you feedback on the way that you were teaching the material. So there's so many ways you can translate things from another career into UX design. And that was from this first example, this student of mine did not have any background in tech, did not have any of those technological proficiencies that most people assume you need to have going into the space. The second example is an example of a person who was from a diverse background, and they were nervous that they may not have an opportunity to find work in tech because of the way that tech sometimes is not as diverse as it can be. And this was someone who shared my background. They were a Latino from Brooklyn, and I shared my story with them of how I came up in tech and how as a Mexican American, as a son of immigrants, I've been able to become not only a designer, but now a design leader. And they were able to find work, and now they're a design leader just like I am right now. So that's really special for me to see. And then the third example, most recently, I had a student who had a lot of things going on in their personal life that made it really difficult for them to get work done, that made it difficult for them to focus on the program. And I think the value of a program like CareerFoundry is its flexibility So if you're going at it alone, you may not hold yourself accountable because you have no structure. And so if you have a lot going on in your personal life, well, it'll definitely be difficult to get to the finish line. But with CareerFoundry and the way that you have the modules that you can read on your own time and have the support of a mentorship in a flexible way, this third student of mine was able to finish it even though they had a lot of things going on in their personal life, and now they're working as a full-time designer in the city. So 3 examples of students that I'm proud of that have made it, and no, it has not been easy for any of them, but clearly it was possible.
Fantastic, great stories, great stories. What strategies do you recommend to students for networking and building relationships in the industry?
I would start by saying, I think the assumption is, or people would think, go to events, go on LinkedIn, network with other people directly. I would start with other students. So first, connect with other students. If you are in the CareerFoundry program, connect with other students in the program. One of the great things about CareerFoundry is you have access to other students who are going through the program just like you are. So connecting with them will expose you to their connections and vice versa. So the first thing I would say is connect with other students and leverage their networks as well. And yes, second, I would say attend events, not just in-person events, but virtual ones at this point, especially post-pandemic. There are so many online events. CareerFoundry hosts a lot of great events. So I definitely recommend doing that. The third is there are so many great online communities that you can join. I even myself run a tech and design community. So there's so many communities that are out there supporting people while they're navigating programs like CareerFoundry. And the fourth thing is reach out to people directly on LinkedIn. And what I would say is don't go on LinkedIn networking with people directly with the intention of asking them for a job. That is not the way to do it. Humanize your networking approach. Practice human-centered practices when you're trying to network. Go there, understand the journeys of the people you're networking with, get to know the people and their stories and the way that they did it. And by having that personal connection, you never know where that could lead. So 4 very simple ideas.
Fantastic. So how does CareerFoundry prepare students for landing that first job in tech?
This is where I think CareerFoundry is different from other programs. There are so many value adds to students from different perspectives. So the first is the curriculum itself. It serves as such a solid foundation for students who are hoping to enter the job force. So the program itself is so versatile and it has a lot of breadth. And what that does is it allows you to get to know all of the different parts of design and see where you fit in, so you can have a better idea of how you want to get in. The second thing is the access to the mentor, which gives you real-world advice and someone like me who's a hiring manager. Whereas if you didn't have a mentor like me, you maybe would not have had access to a hiring manager. Third, CareerFoundry has a really great career prep part of the program, which helps students build that portfolio in addition to the support you get from your mentor, and also think about applying for jobs. And then lastly, CareerFoundry also has these add-ons where you can focus more deeply on a specific subject, whether that's UI design or the other subjects and topics that they offer.
Awesome. Why do you think it's so important that one of the main programs allows you the opportunity to specialize, to add that extra kind of like ribbon to your bow somehow?
Okay. Wow. Ribbon to your bow. That distracted me. I'm sorry. That was great. So anyone who wants to be a UX professional or a UX practitioner needs to learn about UX design generally. So from that, you can become a generalist or become a specialist in that specific domain. And so that's the value of going deeper into a subject through a specialization like CareerFoundry offers. You can either pursue the generalist route or you can become a specialist. But even if you want to pursue the generalist route, a specialization could also help you just become more of an expert in that specific topic, which will help you stand out when it's time to apply for jobs, especially as so many people are coming from other boot camps. Getting a little bit more expert into one subject is a great way to stand out.
Fantastic. And for you, what's the best part of being a mentor at CareerFoundry? What's the highlight of being a mentor for you at CareerFoundry?
Oh, well, it sounds so cheesy, but the students themselves. I'm able to meet such amazing students that I see myself in. When I was coming up, I didn't have the support of a mentor, and I also couldn't see myself in the educators that I did have. And so I hope to provide that personalized, that unique and diverse perspective for my students, many of which are in the city and in the United States. I'm able to connect with them and build relationships with them. I still talk to most of the mentees and the students that I've had at CareerFoundry in some way, shape, or form. I meet with them to help them get a job, or with some students, I help them continue to develop their skills. So I build really close relationships with my students, and that has to be the best part of the program, just getting to meet these awesome people.